I am Cameron Gerhardt with MorganFranklin Consulting, and I am a consultant on our Kinaxis practice. At MorganFranklin, we see that AI is already changing the way that practitioners plan their supply chains. Obviously, we should all be wary of buzzwords. However, some use cases that we are seeing at MorganFranklin and are also presently piloting at some of our clients are yielding real results, and the pace of development and transformation as a result of AI are increasing. One impactful use case is in causal analysis for forecasting. In the past, we could only really generate a forecast based on history and data points. But with AI, we can now pull in large external data sets and infer correlation, impact, and causation to generate new models that incorporate additional data sets not previously able to be considered. In that same vein, the technology to power increasing complexity in supply chain is in itself becoming more complex. Another AI use case is having role-based co-pilots so that AI can ingest all training documentation, workflows, and previous outcomes and validities, and then make suggestions to users in real time on how to improve their planning processes. Imagine having your smartest coworker who knows everything about your system sitting next to you all day long. You can ask them a million questions and they'll never get frustrated, tired, or inaccurate in their responses. Yeah, that's a great question. So when talking about critical skill sets for supply chain practitioners, it's important to remember that supply chain is both equal parts art and science. So talking about technology and artificial intelligence, obviously we think of the technical skill sets. So anyone that's currently working in supply chain or intending to join that field should really be prepared to dig into those technical skill sets around things like statistical analysis and programming languages. You can even take it a bit further along that technical track and specialize in things like R, Python, and machine learning-centric technical skill sets that are in really high demand today. But as consultants, our job is to enable our client organizations to utilize tech to make impactful business changes. And that's where the art really comes in. The best technology in the world and the smartest quants in the world really aren't useful if you can't convince somebody that the output is correct or meaningful or even worth using in the problems that they're trying to solve. And then, of course, the last major skill set to take into consideration, as in any industry, is interpersonal skills. A modern end-to-end supply chain requires an insane amount of collaboration across departments and all seniority levels. So being able to communicate effectively, build and lead a team, and drive consensus are all very critical business skills. So in order for businesses to take a more holistic, orchestrated approach to supply chain management, it's obviously crucial to break down silos. It really is true that traditional organizations are made up of many functions with individual tools, data sets, and incentives that rely on regular and consistent sharing of info to orchestrate activities across an organization. The leading supply chain organizations today have effectively dissolved those silos and have made great progress in enabling cross-functional or matrix teams who are empowered to work decisively across functional boundaries. And in that way, that's where concurrent planning by Kinaxis has been transformative in breaking down those silos. It truly enables organizations to immediately identify and address impacts across their supply chain and communicate and collaborate those impacts across cross-functional teams within the supply chain organization and beyond. So it's really no wonder why so many of the top firms making headway in the supply chain space are using Kinaxis to power their supply chains. At MorganFranklin, we really value our partnership with Kinaxis for a handful of reasons, but primarily because as consultants, it's obviously important that we provide the best advice to our customers. And when working with Kinaxis, we're able to deliver the market's leading supply chain planning platform, and we can champion concurrent planning as the goal of supply chain organizational transformation. There's plenty of options for supply chain software in the market, as we all know. However, we've seen Kinaxis demonstrate their commitment to client success and real results in developing next-gen solutions leveraging AI. Gartner rates Kinaxis at the top of their software magic quadrants, and MorganFranklin also appears prominently in Gartner market guides, specifically the Supply Chain Planning Solutions System Integrators and Supply Chain Strategy, Planning, and Operations Consulting guides. With MorganFranklin plus Kinaxis, you've got the top-rated software with one of the top considered supply chain consultancies on the market.